Welcome back, ladies and gents, to the final Fugitive DLC pack weapon review. Today we're going to be talking about the Holt and Akimbo Holt pistols. I will touch on the Akimbo variant, although most of the conclusions I make for the single Holt are just as applicable with the Akimbo primary. The thing that really typifies these DLC weapons is their brilliant ease of use. This functionality of the weapon shouldn't really be a huge surprise, seeing as how it is based off the Hudson H9, a newly designed weapon from 2017. Other than having the highest base stability in the game, there isn't a lot immediately remarkable about the Holt. It has marginally above average accuracy, but average total ammo, damage and fire rate. On paper it's probably the most average pistol in the game, so let's dive into how it looks and feels to get a better idea of it. The design is fairly robust and modern, nothing overly remarkable, but definitely a pretty sleek look within the pistol category. They also have quite an impactful feel on shots fired, despite their high stability, which I personally don't mind, especially with the Akimbo variant. For attachments, both the single and Akimbo Holts have the same options outside of the standardized pistol sights. Nothing overly special here, choosing between the ergonomic and bling grips for increased accuracy or stability respectively, and then the extended magazine giving plus 10 to mag size at the cost of a point of concealment. Outside of these options, I tend to emphasize general concealability with these pistols, dropping on the flash hider, concealment boost, and the micro laser to keep that in check. In general, pistols are really well represented, especially when compared to LMGs and the snipers I've been talking about in my last two weapon reviews, so working by comparison is a little more challenging. The Holts are in the 65 base damage category, a slightly awkward middle of the road number that doesn't excel with the damage bonus of the one-handed talent skill, and also doesn't get as much of a DPS boost from the increased fire rate of gun nut. Instead, the 65 damage pistols tend to be your old reliables, designed more so for functionality and ease of use than mind-blowing DPS, something that typifies all the Fugitive DLC weapons. This is not necessarily a critique, as often weapons which are middle of the road stat-wise are highly efficient, especially on easier difficulties, which is exactly what we have here, consistency without flashiness. If we look at the best alternatives at 65 damage, we have the Leo and the Igor automatic pistols. When we compare to the Igor, obviously there's not a ton we can decipher as they're both fairly different weapons, one excelling in rapid fire DPS, the other measured and accurate fire. The Leo on the other hand is incredibly similar in form and function, outperforming the Holt in most stats when fully modified, outside of stability and accuracy. This makes the decision more of a personal one. Are you an experienced FPS or Payday player accustomed to firing high recoil weaponry? If so, the Leo should be a better choice. If not, go with the new option, the Holt. This comparison can almost identically be made for the Akimbo variant, performing better than average overall, but when it comes to choosing between the Akimbo Leos and Holts, it really is a toss-up. What I would say is that Akimbos tend to covet the stability and accuracy more intensely, so the Holts lend themselves more so to being used in their dual-wielded form. Considering the weapon within the framework of the difficulty ranking system, as ever we have to look at the damage per bullet and DPS potential. The difference between the 70.4 damage of my Holt and the 85.4 with one-handed talent aced is one less headshot to kill a heavy SWAT, going down to 3 from 4. Something I don't think is worth the 9-point investment. Without it, the Holt will be 2-shotting basic light SWATs on death sentence and 7 or 4-shotting tasers and cloakers respectively. In my opinion, this is far from ideal, but not impossible to make work. Comparing the Holt to the other top pistols though, it can't compete with the concealability of the Bonetti 9, the DPS of the Strike 18C, or the burst damage of the Bronco. This falls into more of that jack of all trades category, like the Baby Deagle. But the Deagle's 120 base damage is a lot more relevant on death sentence, making the Holt a difficult DLC seller if you ask me. The gameplay you see on day 2 of Election Day is 1 down death sentence solo, and the weapons work on the difficulty, but it would be hard to suggest that they excel like the M60 did. If anything, I imagine most other pistol plus Akimbo pistol combos would do just as well with my Sicario setup. When trying to place the Holts within my new rating boundaries, it's definitely not as simple as with the M60 or R700. As you can see, the Holt is certainly viable, even on death sentence, but you will feel its damage starting to fall off once you're up against Death Wish health pools, something that is manageable, but compounded even further by the ludicrous damage you take on death sentence. As a result, I'm going to put both the secondary and Akimbo Holts right with the R700 as Death Wish level weapons, which whilst not quite as impressive, coming from the very powerful pistol weapon class, seems like a fair rating given some of its ammo and DPS struggles. I personally don't think they're worth buying the DLC for alone, as they don't come with many particularly unique attributes, but without a doubt they are viable weapons across most difficulties, which add to the pack's value. Overall, the calling card of the Fugitive pack is stability and ease of control. Both the R700 and Holts fall comfortably into their respective weapon categories, offering something a little less aim intensive while also being viable in their own right. The real gem of this DLC is the M60, created with the same functional philosophy as the other two, but on a weapon type which really doesn't have a stable alternative and benefits hugely from improved controllability. As a result, this DLC gets a recommendation from me, assuming you enjoy the playstyles highlighted in these last 3 videos. Also, keep in mind that there are some previous DLC alternatives and free-to-play options which do a fairly similar job if you really would rather avoid a purchase. But I'd say if you have any interest in trying out the awesomely powerful M60, pick it up at a reasonable $3 price point or as part of the Breakfast in Tijuana bundle. Thanks a lot for watching this video. Got a couple of special releases planned over the next few weeks, so stay tuned on the channel, hit that subscription button, and I'll see you all soon.